That looks freaking wicked. No, you can never have too many magazines. Awesome. Roll it up. That good, but not bad. I like it for that range. A little straining on it, so that's probably jerking your trigger. Yeah. So concentrate on a smooth trigger press. You'll have about the size of a $50.
So strange when you're out confessing, when the change with the dream was impressive. I never wanted to learn my lesson. All I wanted was a little attention. Don't be hanging around my friend. I said I'm all twisted up.
If you do a good job as a family firearms instructor in the zygote phase, your child will progress to the next one. Okay, here comes another funny name. I don't know where I came up with these, I just did. But you'll remember them, and it's a great way to reference the stage of development in firearms gun handling experience and competency level of your child. Next phase, the tadpole level. I'm going to ballpark it ages 4 to 7 years old. Could be a little bit younger, I wouldn't say much younger. Could be a little bit older, that's okay too. The tadpole phase. There's a lot of similarities between the zygote phase. For instance, we are going to continue to enforce and teach, instruct consistently the rules of safe gun handling whenever possible. Again, we're creating opportunities to do that. In the house, in the apartment, in the trailer, we can do it. We can sit down, TV can be going, that's fine, but the child has to be paying attention and in a learning mode. You can tell if a child's learning. Just look at their eyes. You can tell they're interested. You can tell when a child's disinterested. If they're disinterested, maybe you should stop, regroup, come back later. Okay, so that's just the same as a zygote level. We're reinforcing the rules of safe gun handling. And we let them handle that firearm in our presence, of course unloaded, always treating it as if it were loaded. Okay, why do we do that? Again, this flies in the face perhaps of conventional wisdom, political correctness. Hey, a 3-year-old should never handle a real gun. To the contrary, under the established rules of the household and the limitations, i.e. dad's present, like in our family, they should absolutely be able to handle that firearm. Satisfying that curiosity, that's still going to take place in the tadpole level. Probably it was taken care of in the zygote level. They just make me laugh, those names. But it will continue on, and anytime they want to handle it, they have unprecedented access to the gun through me or through you. Hey, Daddy, I want to hold the gun. You got it. Let's hold it. And then, bam, I have another teaching moment. How cool is that? I also reinforce the bug out concept. You encounter a gun in any other venue other than our home, I want you out of there. Not walking, running. Get out of there. I don't trust the other kids. Heck, I don't trust the other parents. And I don't know to what level they've trained their children, probably not very high. And I don't want my kid to die over there. So I want them out of there. The bug out concept. In the tadpole level, they still need close supervision. Okay, I'm watching them like a hawk. I am. So if we go out on a family shooting adventure in the tadpole level, I do not let them shoot alone, generally speaking. I say generally because it often depends on the child, their sense of responsibility, what they've proven to you so far that they're able to do. I'm right there though. So if I'm shooting a single shot 22 rifle like the Cricket, which I've reviewed, I'm instructing. I'm like, this is how you load the bullet. You pull the bolt back, you insert a new shell, you cock it this way, keep your finger off the trigger, okay, put it on target, and there we get to another principle of the tadpole phase, is that I am trying to gain a level of competency now. That I'm going to start at the tadpole phase instructing marksmanship. Okay, again, my tools may be that 22 single shot rifle, and it's very appropriate and very helpful that it is an air gun. Maybe it's a BB gun, a pellet gun, and you can do that in a lot more places than you can a firearm, and you can instruct exactly the same things. Okay, so I want to start talking about marksmanship. We have that foundation of safety in the zygote level. We go to tadpole level. Now I'm going to say, okay, great, we know how to handle this gun safely. Now let's learn how to shoot it. Okay, and we're very upbeat, we're positive, we're having a good time when we do that. We make it exciting for the child. And then I talk about trigger control, breathing, sight alignment. And yes, I make them use iron sights. Using an optic as scope, a red dot sight, is a privilege, and do not train your little tadpole on that to begin with. They need to learn how to shoot iron sights, and my kids both have expertise in doing just that. Once they're proven, very proven in the tadpole phase, then maybe, just maybe, I may throw on a scope. Some competency should be expected at the tadpole level. Nothing great, but some competency. One of my favorite targets, if you don't have the awesome Evil Roy targets, which I've reviewed and covered heavily in the Nutnfancy project, because they are so reactive, they tell you when you're hitting them, they're easy to set up, they don't pollute, they're transportable, they're durable, they last forever, they're affordable, especially with the Nutnfancy discount. What's not to like about the action targets? They're awesome, but if you don't have that, use something big that also gives immediate feedback to the child that can reinforce his or her shooting skill, even at that age. For me, for years, I used a number 10 coffee can. Okay, placed in the dirt, maybe at 15 yards, and I have my son, Tactical Doodle, when he was at the tadpole phase, hey, shoot that coffee can. And by that time, he may have upgraded to an optic sight because he's proven capable of shooting iron sights. And ding, 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 he gets that immediate feedback. Yeah, Daddy, I hit it. It's fun. Shooting guns is fun. It's a recreation in and of itself at the tadpole phase. And you want to continue to encourage that, to build the confidence in your little tadpole. Love that name. It's so funny. Build the confidence in him or her by doing stuff like that. What you don't want to do is set a target way out there. And probably, if you can, and this is highly subjective, let me just throw it out to you, is probably shoot something else other than paper. Okay, because paper's not immediately reactive. They're kids. They like to see stuff get blowed up.
Shouldn't have laughed.
What kid doesn't? That's why the BB gun exercise you do with the Red Ryder is so fun for kids, because they see plastic come flying off the army men. They just love that. All kids love that. Even your daughters will love that. So if you do paper, it's kind of boring for them to a degree. Don't get me wrong. If that's all you have is a range, then do it. And then make a big deal when they get it right. Use a big circle that they can hit. They get it in there. Hey, great job, And then make a big deal. Make a contest out of it. That maybe if you have several children shooting in a good way, say, okay, whoever shoots best, gets an ice cream cone or something like that. Okay, be creative as a firearm instructor. Make it fun for them. And you'll be amazed at how quickly their shooting skill improves. They do need close monitoring. Okay, still in this phase, like I think I already mentioned, I'm using air guns, maybe 22s. Do I introduce centerfire guns here? I would generally recommend no, but that's not a hard and fast rule. It depends on your child. You know, what are they capable of doing? What you don't want to do, and I don't care who you're teaching, you definitely don't want to put a high recoiling, high blast firearm in the hands of a novice. Whether it's a child, whether it's an adult, they're going to get turned off. They're going to be fearful of the gun. I've seen it happen so many times, and that person is almost scarred for life. They don't want to have anything to do with the gun. They're like, no way. I remember when I was like 5, my dad gave me a .357, made me shoot it, almost took my hand off. It didn't almost take their hand off, but that's the way they're going to remember it. Okay, so be really careful. Also, in the tadpole phase, this is a good time when birthday rolls around, when Christmas rolls around, when any meaningful gift time rolls around, to give them a gift gun in the tadpole phase, because they are achieving an awareness of what the gun means, that it's a tool in your family, and they will have an immediate sense of pride, most kids will, when they receive their own gun. The Cricket 22 I gave to Tactical Doodle, my oldest boy. And I'll tell you, his eyes lit up when he saw that for Christmas. This is my own gun. I get to shoot it. Because in a lot of ways, when you do that, you're sending a message of trust to your child. That you're saying, hey, you've graduated from this lower level. I'm trusting you with this own gun. Yes, the limitations, the standards of behavior are still in force. I'm in charge of this gun. You can't handle it without me. He knows all that. But it's still his gun, and he knows he's going to grow into it, and pretty soon he'll graduate to the next level, and maybe he can start to use it autonomously. In the tadpole phase, I'm still locking the guns up. They do not have any access to guns. In other words, even though I gave him that Cricket 22, it does not sit unlocked in the corner of his room where he can access it. However, this is another departure from conventional wisdom perhaps, I will let him handle it and walk around the house with it, pointed in a safe direction. What? That sounds crazy. It's not crazy. Remember, you already have a foundation of safe gun handling with this child. They know to point it in a safe direction. They know to keep it unloaded and yet treat it as if it were loaded. They know to keep their finger off the trigger guard. Why don't you let them practice it? You know, don't expect immediate competency of your child. If I didn't say so already, I'll say it again. You know, you're not going to throw your child into the driver's seat at age 16 and expect perfection. They have to have some exposure. You know, they have to have a learner's permit and practice. Well, how are you going to get it? You know, how many times are you really going to go out into the range? How many times are you really going to go out into the woods, into the deserts nearby and practice? It might be very limited. Okay, so create those opportunities at the home. And then you get muscle memory by doing that. Your child will get muscle memory. They'll get used to that gun. They'll know how to manipulate it, how to exercise the battery of arms on that particular firearm, whatever that firearm is. And I recommend, of course, single shots, maybe a repeating rifle. You know, a bolt-action rifle would be good. But at that level, at the tadpole stage, I really want them to do the work of loading. I don't want an auto loader for them. It doesn't teach them, how shall I say it, care in the use of the ammunition. I don't want them to take it for granted. I want them to make every shot count. And that's another, by the way, Nutnfancy family gun heritage tenet, if you will, is don't waste your ammunition. Connect. So tadpole, what I'm looking there, again, is all the things I said. Reinforcing the safe gun handling, practice, practice, practice. I'm reinforcing the nomenclature. Okay, but at this stage, perhaps ages 4 to 7, I'm expecting some competency, and that competency and instruction to achieve it comes from me. Me teaching them, and then we practice. Okay, again, you can use the BB gun, you can use the pellet gun, you can use the 22s. Okay, and then you're going to see once again that sense of accomplishment starting to become a part of your child. In the tadpole stage is probably where you're really going to notice it. That genuine smile that comes across their face on the family shooting outing, they're just going to absolutely love it. That they're able to connect, and it, like with Tactical Doodle, it was later in the tadpole stage where the light came on, and he's like, whoa, this is fun. I'm having a good time. I want to do this again. And you're reinforcing that family gun heritage, that it is a norm, giving them that sense of accomplishment. And, you know, at that stage too, almost at that stage, Tactical Doodle, and again, I'm just using him as an example, became self-motivating. He really wasn't up to that stage. In fact, he was kind of fearful going through the zygote phase. He was very fearful. He didn't have a confidence level with guns. They scared him. He didn't like the recoil. He didn't like the blast. Even with a 22, when I turned that on early in the tadpole stage. So it took some patient instruction and me backing off a little bit, because I, as a father, was kind of getting, little upset at times. I was like, wow, come on, why are you scared of this? It's only a 22 single shot. He was. I had to back off, and, we took it from there, and I regrouped, let it go for a few months, reapproached it, turned out in a positive fashion. Did the same with my other child, Last Suspect. And he had the advantage of having a brother in the tadpole phase when he was in the zygote phase. See, it's handy to have those names because you know exactly what I'm talking about. So while he was still learning the basics of safety and stuff, here we had a tadpole who was pressing onward and upward. Okay, so that's a tadpole phase. That's what we're looking for. A little bit of competency should start to be seen at that phase. Great sense of accomplishment. Bam, here comes the next phase. The scout phase. Ages 5 to 18. Yeah, all the way up to 18, I'll say. Not as funny as a name, I know. But it's very indicative of what I'm talking about. The scout phase, honestly, guys, is when the fun really starts to happen. Okay, but let's back up a little bit. I'm going to talk about the specifics. The scout phase is where is going to have the same commonality as before. Is I'm going to enforce and teach repetitively the rules of safe gun handling. Point it in a safe direction. Always treat it like it's loaded. Keep your finger off trigger till you're on target.
Nice.
Don't muzzle people. Be sure of your backdrop.
You want to try the hostage?
On and on it goes. Reinforcing the nomenclature. With some guns, sometimes it's a little bit complicated.
All right, reload. Let's go.
Kids may just forget it. Or, if you're like us in the Nutnfancy family, there's different types of guns. So maybe in the scout phase, I'm going to introduce them to a gun like this, the outstanding Smith & Wesson M&P 1522. Okay, and now I have a whole new set of nomenclature that I need to teach them. Charging handle, safety, bolt release, forearm, flash suppressor. All those things they need to teach. And yes, in the Nutnfancy family, it's preparatory for other things. But the fun really starts to emerge in the scout phase. Independence starts to emerge in the scout phase. That's not to say that I do not monitor them. I very closely monitor them. But as a parent, and I think this applies into a lot of different phases, you need to give them some air. You need to give them some breathing room. Okay? You need to allow opportunities for them to go prove it to themselves. Good example. Here we go. We were out as a family to a family reunion. My son, Tactical Doodle, entered. And at the time, I really didn't have these names worked out, but as I look back on it, that's where he was. He had just entered the scout phase, and he had done a fair amount of shooting to the level where I felt like that he could actually go out with his little brother in the nearby woods with that 22 single-shot rifle and do it safely. What? Absolutely. Give him opportunities for that. Remember, we're not doing this out of the blue. It's not fresh out of the gate. He's been instructed several years at this point on all the things I've talked about. He's ready. He's ready to go solo with certain stipulations. Again, he's fired a single shot. In my situation, your mileage may be different. You may approach this in a completely different fashion, but I turned him loose with that 22 single shot cricket rifle. What a great gun that is. Everything I said in my review still plays. And I gave him 10 cartridges, 10 rounds. And I made him accountable. I said, hey, again, here's a safety brief before he heads out. Hey, this is what I expect. I go over all the safety rules again. Make sure of your backdrop. Don't kill animals, because I believe in that, unless you're hunting or there is a reason to do so. Sometimes there is. And go have a good time. Tell me what you shot. And so they went out and they shot dirt clods. And he came back totally stoked. That was his first solo outing with a gun. So I was monitoring pre-safety brief. It sounds ridiculous, but it's true. Pre-safety brief. He goes out, does it, and then he comes back, has a post-shoot brief with Dad. How did it go? Oh, I had a good time, Why is that so important? Because it just establishes a sense of accomplishment, a sense of confidence in your child. that they are able to go out on their own without daddy's interference, without grandpa's, aunt, uncle, that they can get it done themselves. Remember, we need to establish that when we talk about dangerous things in our children. They have to have that, because you will not always be around. They need to go have a test on their own.
Nice.
Also in the scout phase, you should see improvements in your child in the battery of arms. In fact, for me, it's requisite to see that before I give them a little solo expedition like I did with Tactical Doodle. I'm talking about loading, unloading, carrying the gun safely, utilization of the ammo I've given them. All that should be actually almost, not quite, self-sustaining. In other words, they just know how to do it. They've done it enough that you really don't have to sit there and spoon-feed the process. Increase competency, is what you should see. I'll also, in the scout phase, roll in and expect help with the gun logistics. Holsters, load-bearing equipment. I'll introduce them to that. It may not fit them, but they'll be exposed to it. They'll understand what it's about. They're probably too small to wear any. Again, I'm preparing for future phases. Cleaning and maintenance of the firearms. That's a huge thing. It takes a lot of instruction, just that, to do it safely, to do it without damaging the guns. I'll talk about the optics and different ammunition sources, just to name a few items in the gun logistics thing. When you do a family adventure, you take all the guns out there, it's a lot of work. You have targets, you have tables, the guns themselves, carry cases, optics, maybe binoculars, ammunition. They're exposed to that in the scout phase, and they're expected to help. Again, there's a standard of behavior that I enforce as a parent. If you want to give gift guns in the scout phase, rock on. They will totally appreciate it. They're ready for it. And in the scout phase, I highly recommend, no later than the scout phase, you give your child their own membership in the NRA. You want to talk about gun heritage, preserving the gun heritage. That's how we're going to do it, through the future generations, your children. And it comes through you. You say, hey, here's your membership. It's your own membership. It might just be an annual at first. They do have children's memberships, which are less expensive. Give them that membership. I do it in the tadpole phase, and from then on out, my kids are NRA members. And I make sure that I'm contributing to that great organization that keeps these gun rights alive and well for us. Finally, in the scout phase. So, in summary, what have we done? We have an almost autonomous young shooter that they know about the safety. They're proven after many outings and get-togethers about the battery of arms. They're getting those solo expeditions under their belts. They're becoming more trustable. Gun access in the home is still restricted. That's locked up, but I will allow them a little bit more privileges along those lines. I don't allow them full access. No way. But they are allowed to handle an empty gun with all the application of the safety rules within the walls of the house. Yes, you bet. Again, it builds that confidence level. And they're pretty much squared away shooters, okay? But they're not like tactical or competitive level. They're just safe shooters, recreational shooters in the scout level. Your child, by the way, may opt to stay at that stage their whole life. They may opt to never leave it.
Jack around in.
And that's okay. And you cannot, in my opinion, this is just me, Nutnfancy talking, you cannot force them out of the scout level to go on to the next level.
Go for the
they
main
have
body.
to want to do it. It has to come from here. Right here, in the heart.
Now go
That's
for
what
hostage.
happened,
Slow pull.
with my sons. Tactical Doodle, on his own, wanted to progress to the next level.
Nice.
That next level is, you'll like this one, the Jedi level. Age 16 to adult is what I'll ballpark the age. Again, in this, and I'll talk about specifics here in a sec, but again, we're reinforcing safe gun handling. Okay, that's the same thing. I'm saying it over and over and over again because I never relent on that. I never assume, yes, I taught him safe gun handling 5 years ago and he's good to go. No. Any one of us can have a mistake, especially your children. You're always watching that and reinforcing it and talking about the importance. It's because gun accidents can be so devastating. Okay, there's no recalling that bullet from the barrel, something I teach my kids. Once it's gone, it's gone. See, if you make a mistake. But in the Jedi level is where we achieve, this is so awesome, I can't tell you how awesome this is, autonomy. Okay, through much experience and practice, your child is autonomous in the Jedi phase. You no longer have to spoon feed him on anything with the gun. In the case of my son, Tactical Doodle, he has a full capability as a tactical, albeit a newer tactical shooter. Maybe in your case, if you're a competitive shooter, they might have it then. IPSC, maybe cowboy action shooting, they could have that. Maybe if you're a hunter, they're completely safe in hunting. They know how to carry the gun, they know how to store it, they know how to load it safely. You don't worry about them anymore about doing something stupid with your firearm in the autonomous Jedi phase.
Another good group.
It is so awesome. It's like the
rocking it.
ultimate
On the running
end
gun
to your
with
work
SR
as a parent when you
556,
see
this
that,
is
when
under
you reach it.
stress.
They understand and grasp all the gun logistics. They know about load-bearing equipment. They can set it up themselves. They know about cleaning and maintenance. They can do that themselves. They know about optics and ammo. In every phase, they show excellent judgment and full safety compliance. Doesn't mean they can't make mistakes, but generally that's what we have. They are a full-fledged shooting companion in the Jedi phase, and I will tell you, it absolutely rocks.
I love it.
It rocks. It's what dads dream of. They dream of that when they have their little boy in their arms. They're like, oh, what a cute little boy. Oh, one day I'll have someone to go shooting with. Well, it takes a lot of work to get there. If you haven't gathered that by now, it does. Consistent application of the safety principles, but you're setting his interest for life. In the Jedi phase, once they reach this autonomous level, I give full access to the guns. And, that's my mileage. You may be different. In other words, if I still keep them under lock and key, don't get me wrong, but they have access to that. It's because they've reached a level where I don't have to worry about them anymore. More importantly, and this gets to another concept here, and this can happen actually at the scout level or higher, but definitely at the Jedi level, they can be a participant in the security of your home, defending the home. And don't say, oh, there's no way. There is a way. It's happened lots of times where children have actually used a firearm to defend their parents when a violent attack has occurred within their home. And that kind of brings on another thing. Generally, it's reserved for the Jedi phase. But you should discuss the rules of engagement for that to happen, the implications of use, psychological, legal, and otherwise, for your Jedi.
That's how many? 5
I know,
mags?
that's a funny name too.
6.
But that child can save your life. And at this point, after all those years of instruction, trust me, they are capable of doing so. And if you think, heck, probably from the latter stages of the tadpole on, if they will not attempt to save your life, if they see mommy getting attacked in a violent manner and they know where that gun is, it's happened many times before, they will do it all on their own. Okay? They're not going to sit back while their mommy and daddy get killed when they know they can prevent it. So address it. Train to that level. Happens at the Jedi. Okay? There you have it. The 4 levels, starting with Zygote, Tadpole, Scout, and the ultimate and most satisfying, at least for me as a dad, the Jedi level. I absolutely love it. Access to the guns is pretty much limited until I get to the child gets to the Jedi level. They're locked up, mostly, to be honest, for theft reasons, not for protection reasons. Remember, don't believe the protectionists, better lock it up or they'll die, lie. It's a lie. If you train the child the way I've explained in great detail to you, the lockbox is superfluous. They already know. You don't have to worry about it. If they find a gun on a counter, they're not going to go over there and do something dumb with it because you've trained it. Okay? Yes, I believe in a multi-layered approach to gun safety. The guns are locked up. It is a safety net, but it's not required, and it's mostly for theft reasons. I have 1,000-pound safes. It's a lot, but when they reach the Jedi level, they're given access to that. Also, free storage is okay too. Remember, and what do I mean by free storage? I mean a gun hidden in a location that's very quickly accessed if something goes down in your property. I believe in a trained household where everybody's trained to the level I'm talking about. Rock and roll, baby. With a Jedi, you definitely don't have to worry about it. With a Scout, you don't have to worry about it. Heck, with a Tadpole, you don't have to worry about it. It doesn't mean I tell them where it's at, though. As a Jedi, I do. To those people. But again, security could be needed very quickly. It doesn't mean that all the guns are handled like that, but it is an option for you as a parent once you've established that safety net in place, the training. Personally, I store several guns in lock boxes, the simplex lock boxes. They're very quick to access, and yet it is kind of that additional level of safety and theft protection. Okay, that's it. That's children of the gun. That's what I'm talking about. Each child will be different. The ages will be different that they'll be able to achieve these levels. But you know who it depends upon? You. It's your option. It takes a huge commitment to get them here. But in the end, mom, dad, grandfather, aunt, uncle, guardian, you're going to produce a child of the gun, not in a derogatory fashion, but someone who is trained, competent, confident in the use of a firearm. Shouldn't we all want that for all dangerous things, not just firearms? You know, these experienced gun handlers that you create in your own family will increase your family safety, and they'll increase society safety. And along the way, they're going to make some awesome and treasured family shooting adventures. There you have it. This is Nutnfancy. I hope this helps you. I hope it helps to save lives across the world. Thanks for watching. We'll see you.
Questions. So, what's the status of your gun right now, last suspect?
It is on safe and cocked and ready to go.
Okay, not really cocked, but you have one in the chamber. Safety's on. You mentally go through right now where your safety is, guys. So, because you'll be amazed at how much stress, for whatever reason, is generated with something silly like this. So, mentally prepare right now and kind of close your eyes and think how you're going to sweep the safety off. Last suspect, I want you to mentally prepare on how to manipulate that trigger. Remember, we're going to pull that trigger nice and slow, keeping that sight picture right on there.
Okay, our hands are cold as you're talking.
Okay, shooters ready? On your mark, get set, go! There you go. Stay on target there, last suspect. Nice and easy trigger pull. Nice shot. You're right in the square. Keep it up. That's really good. Really good. Keep it up. Nice. Another good shot. That means you got good trigger pull. Keep that trigger nice and easy. Keep those sights in the square. Excellent. Keep it up. See how Mrs. Nutfancy's doing?
Not good, because you told me
How many did you get?
20.
20? Dude, you got them all in there. I got to double check. Double check that, Mrs. Nutnfancy.
You did not.
He smoked you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Nice. Great stance. Last suspect, I love that stance. Nice and stable. Nice. Good job. Good job. Excellent. What you want to do is isolate your index finger from the rest of your hand. So you're going to grasp the pistol how you do it, and then you're going to slowly pull with your index finger. You don't want to disturb your grip when you do it. See how I'm doing it? And you don't do this with your trigger finger. You don't go kink, jerking it. That's when guys are shooting low left or missing the target altogether because they're doing that. They're rushing it. And with a pistol, what you're doing is you disturb your sight picture and it throws the rounds down. Okay, so practice on this next round of slowly squeezing that trigger, maintaining that sight alignment right there on the plate, okay? That's how you connect. It's actually pretty simple, but it's harder to do unless you have lots of experience at it, and that's what you're getting is experience. Nutnfancy, last suspect, pistol shooting. Practice, practice, practice. That's what gets you better. Nice.
Goes out.